My guest today, Brian Hart, is the founder and president of Flackable, an award-winning public relations agency representing financial and professional services brands nationwide.
This term gets thrown around so much and has been twisted and muddied to have so many meanings. So I want to define what I'm talking about when I talk about cancel culture and what it's not, what I am not talking about. There's a difference between public backlash and criticism and this new breed of cancel culture, where it's not about trying to point out wrongs from big, powerful influencers, but it's seeping into small businesses and private citizens, where anybody who shares an opinion that doesn't align with that of the mob, of a big group, they will try to silence and intimidate you. And social media has been one of the biggest drivers of this phenomenon.
Right.
But one thing you have to realize is that from the day you're born, you have built-in haters. No matter who you are.
Yes.
From the day you're born, and the more you grow up, form opinions, form your personality, and become yourself, you are going to accumulate more and more built-in haters. Whether it's the way that you look, whether it's your gender, whether it's your ethnicity, your religion, there are going to be built-in haters, where if you speak out, they will be ready to clap back at you and pounce. So one of the biggest things to do is to build in a crisis response team. And the goal of having a crisis response team is not necessarily that you're expecting crises to happen. Ideally, if you've got a good crisis response team, you're not responding at all. You're proactively squashing these things before it blows up into a big crisis. But you need to know when a bad public sentiment goes out there, whether it's one bad review or one negative Facebook post, you need to know who all that response is going through, who the decision makers are, what the progression is going to be like to either act or choose not to act. Know who you are, know what you stand for, know what your brand is, know what you're willing to absorb. The more outspoken you are, the more backlash is going to come back at you. So you need to know your tolerance for criticism. The more you go out and criticize others or challenge the status quo, the more you're probably going to get back to you. It's not necessarily equal. It can be very disproportionate. You know, one a little small criticism can get you a whole lot of backlash.
Sure.
But you need to know what your brand is. And obviously, if you've got a more conservative brand, you're probably going to get more backlash if you go off-brand and jump into the mud a little bit, or overreact to some criticism or whatnot.
Yeah, that's
Whereas
true.
the fire brands have they got a little bit of Teflon on them. They know, given just the nature of their brand, they can absorb hits, and they're gonna get hits because they are, challenging the status quo, and if they're doing their job right, they are building some enemies.
Stay away from
there's little upside, but there's still potential downside.
Yeah.
There's risk on any of these platforms. So if the upside doesn't match the risk that you're taking from being on there, putting content on there, putting perspectives out there, then maybe consider not being on there at all. Not everybody's going to agree with you. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's what's missing in social media right now. People need to realize it's okay to disagree with somebody.
That's right.